Hi everyone, and welcome to this new tutorial where we are looking at source control, and in particular we're going to be setting up GitHub for use with Unreal Engine 4. So to get us started, you need to head over to github.com and sign up for a new account. There are various plans available, but for now a free account will do us just fine. So once you've signed up for your account, make sure it's all verified and you're signed in. Then you need to head over for gitforwindows.org, and here you're going to be downloading Git, and this will do all the heavy lifting for us, sending all the information up to GitHub. So once that's downloaded, run the installer, just choose all the settings as default, and you will have this window once you've set it running, once it's all installed. Next, we need to go to gitlfs.github.com. This is GitHub's large file storage, which allows the large files that Unreal produces to be uploaded to GitHub. So download that, again, choose all the default settings once it's and install it. And the last thing we need is the GitHub desktop from desktop.github.com. I'll put all these links in the description for you. And here we want to download the GitHub desktop, and once that's downloaded, open it up and you'll get a window similar to this, but because you won't have any repositories yet, it'll be more of a startup splash screen asking you to create a depository. Okay, so once you have downloaded all of those, signed into your GitHub account, and they're all open and running, then we are ready to start our project and connect it to the source control. So here I just have the default third-person project. I've made absolutely no changes to it whatsoever. It's exactly how it comes when you create it from the template, and we're going to be using this as an example of how to connect it to source control. Okay, so once those three programs are downloaded, we need to head into source control and connect to source control. Here we select the provider, which is Git, and this will expand the panel, and in the Git path here you need to find the location where the Git bash software downloaded to. If you don't specify this here, then Unreal will not be able to connect to GitHub. So just find that path in your Windows browser and make sure you've got the git.exe selected. The root of the repository, that is your default location for where you save your Unreal Engine projects. And then the username will be your GitHub username and your GitHub password email. Make sure you've checked, if it isn't, add a git ignore file. This will stop all the local files that you don't want being added to source control from being added, and it'll ignore all the local saves. So every time you hit save, it won't mark everything for upload. And then make the initial git commit. This will make sure that once we submit this project, everything will be uploaded to the repository. So then we want to initialize project with Git. Now it's down here, it will say adding files to source control, and once it's finished adding all these files, we need to accept all the settings. It's quite a small project, so it's created the repository quite quickly, and then we'll hit accept settings, and connection to source control was successful. Okay, you'll now see that the little circle on source control has turned green, and there's a little two-way arrow showing that we're connected to our source control. Now if we create a new asset, say an actor, call it a test actor, you'll see this new little icon which appears, which is a little question mark. That is basically saying that this is unstaged, so the source control doesn't know anything about this yet. So there's two things we can do here. We can either right click, source control, mark for add. This will mark it to be added to source control, or we can just go up here, and if we click check out modified files, then the source control basically checks to see if anything has changed. And now we've got a little plus symbol saying it's going to be added to source control next time we submit it. So this checkout modified files is a good way of syncing other users' files before we start work. It's helpful if there's more than one person working on a project. So now to add this file, we submit to source control and it checks for new assets to check in. You'll come up with this change list description. It's a good idea here to put in a bit of detail about what you are adding. So everything you're submitting will appear in this section here. So for us, it's just this test actor because everything else is already in the repository. And the change list description, this is where you want to put your comments about what is in your change list. So if you have to revert back in the future to a previous change list, you can see what was added and you can try and work out what went wrong, why things are broken, and why you've had to revert back to an earlier build. So we're just adding this test actor for the tutorial. And we hit submit, and this change list has now been added to our source control. You'll now see that the little icon has disappeared off our actor. So we have the most up-to-date version of this actor. If we made any changes to the actor, say if we added a variable, so test, compiled, save the actor, then you'll see the little icon appears again. So we'd have to resubmit this actor to the source control. And obviously that will create a new change list. And now that creates another change list on our source control. So if we wanted to now, we could revert back to the actor before we added the variable, or we could revert back to the project before we even created the actor. And that's sort of the basics of how it works. However, this is still only on our local directory. So we need to now upload everything onto github.com itself. So what we need to do now is open up the GitHub desktop. Like I said, you probably won't see the screen unless you've already got some repositories. But you'll see down the left-hand side, I think it says something like add local repository from hard drive, which is the same as add local repository in the file settings. So if you click on that, it asks for the local repository path. Now this is going to be the path to your project, whatever it's called, wherever you store your Unreal Engine projects. So for me, it's Unreal Projects, and it will be the overall title of the project, which isn't that one, that was a test one, so it'll be GitHub tutorial. So wherever you store your projects, and then the main name of your project, and you just click add to repository. And now you'll see current repository, which will be your project. Okay, so the last thing we need to do is we need to publish this repository to GitHub. So click on the publish repository and want to select github.com, and here you can name and add a description. Organization here, if it's select to none, then you are uploading it to your GitHub account. If you are working for other studios, developers, then you can choose to upload project to their GitHub account. Now we'll just keep that as none, so we upload it to our own and publish repository. So once it's done all the writing and all uploaded, we'll get confirmation that it's published. So once it's finished publishing, if we go to the history panel, you will see here we've got our initial commit, we've got the change list where we added the actor, and we've got the change list where we updated the variable in the actor. So if we say wants to revert that change, we right click on it, revert changes in commit, go back to the previous build. And that is basically how you set up GitHub quickly and simply in Unreal Engine. And if we go into github.com now, if we refresh GitHub, you will see under my account, it has created the GitHub tutorial, and all the project files are now stored here on GitHub. And you can pull the files off here instead of using your local directory. Hope that's been helpful, guys. In the next video, I'm going to show you how you can manually choose which files get uploaded rather than letting Unreal upload all files that are changed automatically, which can be useful if you're doing some experimental branches in the engine and you don't want to upload absolutely everything, because what you're working on might actually break other developers' builds. So we'll cover that in the next video, but for now, hope you found this useful. I'll see you then.